really kind of you. I'm Tempany, I'm part of the Fuel Change team. And in preparing for today, I began to reflect back to the last big conference which I happened to be at, which also had a bit of a net zero vibe going on. And it got me thinking, what has happened since the COP26 circus packed up and left town? And where are we now? Through our discussions with businesses, we know that businesses are struggling. We know that people are struggling. The feedback that we are getting, which I am sure that you will recognise too, is that we're still in a pandemic. There are staff shortages. There's a war on talent. We're in a post-Brexit era, whatever that means. Energy prices are skyrocketing. And then there's an actual war on. These are all burning platforms for businesses today. So where does that put net zero and sustainability on the business priority list? Because it isn't enough just to have a roadmap. And I'm sure that you will recognise the frustration when you get into an honest conversation with businesses that we have a plan and we are going to get after sustainability. But it's just that we don't have the resources right now. Or let's look again next year or next quarter. But for those of you with a functioning roadmap, you will know that there are only 31 quarters to 2030, and there are only 91 quarters to 2045. So that made me think too, how many quarters do we have left before it really matters, before it really is too late? And the answer is none. The hard truth, as most of us know, is that there will never be a right time other than now. There is always something else that breaks the news. So sustainability is a burning platform for businesses and for all of us. And unless we make it everyone's priority all of the time, then it will be too late. But there's hope and there's opportunity. And we founded Fuel Change as a social enterprise 18 months ago in response to the climate crisis, with the sole purpose to give a platform to the next generation. Like all things in our infancy, we grow and we develop. And initially we thought that the next generation were all on it. They were all on climate change. They only just needed a bigger platform. Well, I'm sorry to say, but we were really naive. They aren't all on it. About 10% of the next generation are on it, and another 20% get it, but the rest aren't engaged. But why would they be? I mean, when they've lived their whole lives in a climate crisis, when those leading them aren't on it, when it feels like it's too much and it's too far gone, when it isn't a problem of your making, but you're being asked to solve it. So, from our experience over the last 18 months, what I can tell you is this: if you create an opportunity, if you educate, if you engage and you empower, then the next generation are absolutely on it. And that's what we do at Fuel Change. We partner with industry to identify their pressing decarbonisation challenges. And we educate, we engage, and we empower the next generation to develop sustainable solutions. Whether this is in the workplace or in secondary schools, our challenge programme unleashes their hidden talents in a unique but practical way through the lens of sustainability. Our challenge methodology has the added benefit of developing meta skills. So those are things like critical thinking, teamworking, communication and collaboration, problem solving and resilience. All the skills that are needed for a workforce of the future. All the skills in education have the added benefit of making businesses better. So, in the last 18 months, Fuel Change have delivered 5 national challenge programmes to over 700 next-gen participants, globally, but mainly in Scotland. We've worked with over 70 businesses, and we're currently engaged in a national pilot programme with 21 secondary schools. And I'm delighted to say that those 21 secondary schools are coming back to do more work with us next year. Behind me, and in the audience, and on the stage, are some people involved in fuel change to date. But I would like you to hear from Sean McLeod, who is an apprentice with BSW Sawmills in Fort William. Sean was part of our first challenge cohort, and most recently was one of the fuel change finalists in the Net Zero Apprentice of the Year award from SDS. So I'm hoping that this will play, but maybe it won't. Can you help me at the back? Yay!
Reducing carbon emissions within the timber industry by expanding our own knowledge on the business, by especially boosting our passion in climate activism and reducing our own carbon emissions. I would say, speaking for all of us, involving ourselves in the Fuel Change Challenge certainly made us break some of our old habits and consider our own personal impacts on the planet. We left the event thinking, as apprentices, what can't we do if what we can do is influence a large national company to change their own ways?
So, Sean gives me hope, as do many, many others like him. But what about opportunity that I promised? Well, participating in fuel change results in an activated and more able workforce who are now capable of driving the change that we seek from the bottom up. This is highly valued by companies as these challenges are creating business solutions today that will create a sustainable future tomorrow. After all, the next generation will be the driving force of the culture and the change that we seek. We need to play our part in supporting them to get there. And it is the support and the way in which we enable this culture and this change that is critical. But for those of you not in this room, and not convinced by climate change, and who think, well, Scotland's only got 0.08% carbon emissions, that's just a bit of a rounding error. What's the point? We're too small. It's because we're small that it matters. We have the opportunity to lead the way. We have the physical and geographical resources. We have the technology, and we have the skills and the people. Let's face it, Scotland's a village. Everybody nearly knows everybody else. So let's use all that. Let's be bold. Let's find the confidence to collaborate and co-elevate. Let's reach out and work together to get into action and continue to get after the world's biggest problem. Because there is another opportunity, and it is if we solve the net zero problem sustainably, then we will part of the way to solving the energy crisis, the future water shortages, the food and fuel poverty. All the while will improve our health and our mental well-being. And in that way, we put out more than just one fire. So, if you want a fuel change, then brilliant. Because ask yourself this, if not you, then who? Thank you.